my claim to fame is I lost to Lee Jansen in the national championship in 1986. And then you have a pause, and then you say by 72 spots.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Warrior Weekly. I'm Brady Beedon alongside Kevin Brechmacher. And Kevin, the baseball team finally was able to win a series against a tough opponent. They had split with Davenport. They had split with Grand Valley. And a much-needed 3 out of 4 series victory against Saginaw Valley.
First of all, before we start talking about baseball, I just want to notice that we're both wearing short sleeves and shorts.
Yes, I know. It's
because the temperature outside is great. We started this podcast. You started this podcast in the middle of basketball season, in the middle of winter when it was freezing out. Now it's nice and warm. So congratulations to you, by the way, Brady, for doing a great job with the podcast. And we've come to spring sports. Yeah, baseball, a great series, finally getting that series win they needed and really elevated themselves. We'll talk about this maybe in a little bit, but elevated themselves not just in the conference standings, but also the regional standings as well from a lot of prognostications. But a great start to the series. I did the game on Friday. You did the games Saturday and Sunday. But I was just impressed. First of all, Thursday was a wild and wacky game. We can talk about that in a minute too, but just crazy stuff going on. But the starting pitching, except for game 2 on Saturday, was outstanding all weekend. And I think that's the highlight. If Wayne State continues to get that type of starting pitching, they should run the table. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on them going forward. 7-1 probably in a minimum, but on paper they should run the table the rest of the conference season up into the GLIAC tournament. But if they continue to get starting pitching like this, they're going to be a tough team to beat going forward.
Well, let's start with Thursday. Gavin Nash throws 6 innings of really strong baseball. He's just stacked strong start after strong start after strong start. Every GLIAC start he's had has been quality.
It's been great. I mean, he kind of had the boost from being on the podcast with you last week.
He was just fine before that.
He got the Warrior Weekly boost, but yeah, he's been great all season. He came out and did exactly what you want a starting pitcher to do to start a series. And I talked to Coach Kelly during the Inside the Dugout segment about why the switch from Will to Gavin was it because of what happened the week before? And he said absolutely not. It was because Will came out and threw that bullpen coming out of the bullpen last Saturday, got the save against Grand Valley, and he wanted to give him an extra day of rest because he pitched those extra pitches on Saturday. So that's the only reason Gavin Nash started. But Gavin Nash looked like a number one starter to me on Thursday. Friday he came out and pitched a heck of a game and kept Wayne State in it when they made some mental mistakes. And then Saginaw Valley made a big-time mental mistake in the 9th inning to maybe prevent them from tying the game. But, Thursday was a great pitch game from both teams. Saginaw Valley, it was interesting because they came out Thursday and they went with a bullpen guy first and a starter second, so they kind of did the opener and then a starter.
They did the same thing on the Sunday game.
So a lot of teams will do that, but Wayne State, they have no reason to be playing around with their pitching at all because those 3 guys have been great all year.
No, and then game 2, Will Lowry goes all 7 innings. Probably nice for him to notch a complete game in 7 innings instead of having to go 9. No, he looked like what we expected, and it's more and more looking like that first Grand Valley game was just a blip on the radar.
Yeah, great bounce-back start. I think getting some confidence from coming out of the bullpen last weekend to get that save against Grand Valley, I really think that put him back in the right headspace going forward. But yeah, just a blip on the radar. Every once in a while, you're going to have a bad start. I don't care if you're pitching in the major leagues or you're pitching in 11U travel baseball. Every once in a while, you're going to have a rough outing, and Will did that a couple weeks ago. So hopefully that's out of his system, and going forward, he'll be the starter we saw on Saturday the rest of the way.
In the one loss in game 3, the score doesn't really indicate how close it was. Wayne State lost 9-3. They gave up 5 in the top of the 9th for Saginaw Valley to blow that open. Wayne State, I think, stranded 13 runners in that game. They could never get the big hit, and Saginaw Valley took advantage of that and getting the one win they would eventually get in the series.
It was interesting, following the games on Saturday. I wasn't there to watch them Saturday, but I was just saying to myself, man, we just got to get this offense going a little bit. They struggled on Friday in the opener, struggled on Saturday, even though they won game 1, to really get the offense clicking. But they definitely came out yesterday on Sunday and got it clicking for sure. So that's nice to see, too, because you don't want these long droughts with your offense. Because, again, the offense wasn't great against Grand Valley either. A lot of that you can attribute to Grand Valley's great pitching as well. Wayne State's made a lot of opposing offenses look bad all season too. So it's, again, if you keep getting the starting pitching Wayne State's getting, you could score 3 or 4 runs a game and you're going to win in a tournament type setting, which is I think what the goal for this team is going forward into May. But nice to see the offense get going in the series finale yesterday. Score some runs.
It was
have a big
one
inning
big
as well.
inning.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
what you
the
want. You want a
sixth.
big inning.
It was. I mean, Caleb Sanders did a job. They were playing the shortstop back, hit a ground ball to short with the guy on third. Ty Garza actually had the 2 RBI triple. That was the big hit in that one. Tuccinardi had a home run over the monster to give himself now the team lead in home runs. But it was Gabe Nazelli that has really settled in after battling some injuries. I'll be honest, the first inning I was worried because he labored a little bit through it, walked the first guy on 4 pitches. Through the first maybe 10 to 12 pitches, I'm going, ooh, does he have it today? And he settled in very nicely. Ended up going 6 innings, giving up the 2 earned runs, only walked 2. And then it was nice to see Maceo Miller come in and another 3-inning save on Game 4. He absolutely shut it down. Faced 11 batters, got 9 of them out, and a lot of them with weak contact too. He gave up a couple hits, but he bounced back very nicely. And I thought he did an excellent job out of the pen. And, Breck, that the difference between, competing in a conference, winning a conference tournament, and then going and winning a regional or super regional can potentially be how good's your 4th pitcher, how good's your 5th, 6th pitcher.
Absolutely.
And if you can get outings like this out of the bullpen, I think that bodes well for Wayne State in tournament settings.
Yeah, there's been a couple blips with the Wayne State bullpen
Again, it's
on the
baseball.
season, but it's baseball. You can't be perfect the entire time. But yeah, no, the confidence I think that Ryan Kelly has of throwing obviously the top 3 guys, Nazelli, Nash, and Lowry for sure. But then even after that, I mean, the 4, 5, 6, like you said, even 7th, 8th guy, the guys coming out of the bullpen, he has to have confidence in those guys too. And like you said, when that GLIAC tournament starts in that Thursday morning, you could possibly be playing 3, 4, even 5 games in a 4-day span. You need depth.
Yes.
In a regional, it's the same thing. With the sub-regionals now, it's not quite as tough because you're only going to have 3 or 4 teams in a regional, and then you have this super regionals, a 2 out of 3 series. But you're going to need depth too because you get into some tight games late. You're going to use your bullpen a little bit more than what you would normally do. So I think Wayne State going forward, and honestly Grand Valley as well, from what we saw with them a couple weeks ago, their pitching staff are definitely the 2 teams to keep your eye on in this Midwest region. Illinois Springfield, who a lot of people had a second in the region coming into last weekend ahead of Wayne State, got swept. Missouri S&T, from your favorite city, Rolla, Missouri, swept them all 4 games. So that would definitely move Wayne State up into that 2 spot. You want to be in the top 2. We'll talk about these next couple of weeks leading into the NCAA tournament, because if you're in the top 2 spots, you get to host a sub-regional. So you want to be either 1 or 2 and play some more games at Harwell Field in the mid-May. And that was a lot of fun a couple years ago when we hosted. And a lot of people will be like, well, do you want two schools from the same conference hosting a regional when you have 3 conference represented? Well, a couple years ago when Wayne State hosted, Davenport was the other host on the other side of the state. So it's happened before. And when you have the 2 best teams in the region in your conference, that's what's going to happen. Nobody really in the GMAC overall record-wise has kind of stood out. And then in the GLVC, Illinois Springfield was the team to beat. They get swept. Now Missouri S&T now actually has a better record than Illinois Springfield, so now you worry about them maybe a little bit. But both those teams have double-digit losses, and you look at the standings, Brady, and Wayne State does not have double-digit losses. They only have 8 on the season so far. And if they take care of business the rest of the way, I don't know if they will have double-digit losses heading into the GLIAC tournament. So again, you don't want to be overconfident as a Wayne State broadcaster and fan, but I've just been impressed with the starting pitching. And now, if you get the offense going, we'll talk about their schedule coming up this week and how important that is just to take care of business. But I really like what I see from the baseball team. But real quick, back to the game on Thursday. End of the game, 9th inning, Wayne State's up 2-1. Saginaw Valley has runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. They try a straight suicide squeeze. Not a safety squeeze, a suicide squeeze. The runner at 3rd is darting for home on the pitch. Kid squares the bunt, misses the bunt, gets tagged out at the plate by Braden Crow, and that ended the threat. So you don't see that a lot, that straight suicide squeeze anymore at any level of baseball, but good execution by Wayne State and poor execution by Saginaw Valley, because if that bunt gets laid down and they score there, who knows what happens the rest of that game. That sets the tone for maybe the entire series. So because Wayne State played that great defensively against that suicide squeeze, they won that game 2-1, and then obviously won the next 2 out of 3. So you never know how a play is going to be a pivot point, not just in a series, but an entire season. And That was a pivot point right there for sure.
All right, softball on the road, not what we were hoping for. The midweek against Findlay, they lose both of those, but that one was kind of irrelevant whether it was win. I mean, it was 2 one-run losses. Win or loss those, I mean, obviously you want to win, but it was the GLIACs, 3 GLIAC series that were going to be big. They split against Purdue Northwest. That was the one you were hoping they could sweep. Yeah. And then splitting against Roosevelt was the one that hurt, especially when you win the first game 5-0. You get run ruled in 5 innings, 11-1, and then you go to Parkside and get swept by Parkside to make it a 2-4 trip on the road. Now you're on the outside looking in on the tournament. And the bad news for the Warriors is their schedule is tough the rest of the way. They haven't played Saginaw Valley yet. They have 4 games against them. They're going to have to find a way this weekend to get something against Ferris State, and they're going to have a better showing against Davenport because they needed a strong road trip, and they came up a little short in a couple games that they needed in this one.
It was we talked about it last week. In these same 2 chairs, how it was an opportunity for Wayne State softball team last week to kind of get on a little bit of a run, make some headway in the standings, move up the standings a little bit. Instead, the exact opposite happened to move their way down in the standings. Now they're in 7th place, and again, the only teams that make the GLIAC tournament are the top 6, so they're on the outside looking in, a game out of a tournament spot with that tough schedule that you just talked about and highlighted so well, Brady. So it was a disappointing week. There's some injuries, injury bug going around the team a little bit with some of the key players, but no excuses.
Everyone has injuries.
Everyone has injuries this time of year. You got to play through them, and if you can't play through them, somebody else has to step up and do the job. And again, it's the same kind of situation that we've kind of talked about all year. There's no real dominant starting pitcher on the Wayne State softball team this year. They've had some excellent efforts.
Sydney Long has been.
She's been excellent on occasions, but there's just not that shutdown pitcher that Wayne State's kind of had in the past. You can just throw out there and say, all right,
2 runs,
2 runs or 1 run wins the game. 2 runs wins the game for sure. And then the offense has just been inconsistent all year. And you score 5 runs in the first game against Roosevelt, you win 5-0, and you come back, you only score 1 the next game, get run ruled. You just can't. You just have to find some consistency. And again, with saying this, there's still 3 weeks left of the regular season. There's still a chance for Wayne State to make a run and get things going, but they can't keep losing games and falling further behind one of those tournament spots and expect to make it up because the last week of the season they're playing Saginaw Valley. So
right now is looking
really good. So they
struggled a little bit in non-conference. They're now 14-2 in GLIAC.
Yeah, I mean they're 14-2 in conference. They're leading the league. They're atop the GLIAC standings, and you don't want to have to make headway against the best team at least right now in the GLIAC that last week with your backs against the wall of making the tournament. So this week's important. We'll talk about in the next segment who the matchups that they're playing. You mentioned Davenport, Ferris State, how many games I think they have to win to get back in it, but. Need to start winning some games at home and need to start finding some consistent offense consistently. I know I'm a tongue twister there, but it was disappointing, I guess. 2-6 last week. You expected the games against Findlay to be tough. Findlay had a great overall record. They're going to be a top 1 or 2, even 3 seed in the NCAA tournament going forward. But those conference road games against team either on par with you or below you in the standings to only win 2 out of 6, you got to do better than that.
All right, Wayne State tennis, dominant fashion, men's and women's, both sides. Both won 6-1 over Purdue Northwest, and then 7-0 over Roosevelt for the men. It was, women's tennis won 6-1 in both. It was men's, it was 6-1 over Purdue Northwest, 7-0 over Roosevelt. Absolutely dominant. Both team, Wayne State's men's 4-0 in the GLIAC, the women 4-1. I know they have Grand Valley and Ferris coming up, but against teams they should dominate, they absolutely did, and nice to see on the final home weekend for them.
Yeah, they took care of business. Doing a great job. The first Midwest regional rankings for tennis come out this week, so it'll be interesting to see where Wayne State stands with that, with the tough schedule they've played, especially on the men's side. But take care of business at home. Nice to see, and it is weird to think we're the second full week of April and there's no more home tennis matches the rest of the year. We're winding things down for the school year here at Wayne State and the sports seasons as well. And but again. take care of business at home. Men, no problem at all. Women, what happened with the women? They dropped one of the matches. Just kidding, of course. A win's a win. But again, both those teams are going to be probably NCAA tournament teams for sure, and I can't wait to watch them see what they do the rest of the season.
Golf had a pretty successful weekend. Women's finished 3rd out of 8 down at Walsh Tiffin in their co-hosted event. And then men, they finished 2nd. They went to match play against Ohio Dominican. They fell 3-2 in match play there, but still a 2nd place finish there as they get ready. Both sides get ready for the GLIAC tournament.
You have to ask Coach Horn in the next segment coming up whether he prefers stroke play or match play. He's a big golfer himself. We talk golf all the time with Coach Horn here, whether it's on the Warrior Sports Network or on the podcast. But I'll ask him if he likes the match play or stroke play better. It's such a different dynamic. But tough. The Warriors couldn't get it done there against Ohio Dominican, who's a very good golf team, by the way. But both the golf teams are having a great spring so far. And
in women's track and field, I told you Emily Gordon broke the Wayne State 800 meter again for the 2nd straight week. I mean, at this point, it's just call me when the season's over and tell me what the record is.
It was funny. I was in Jeff Weiss's office before we came to tape today, and he was quick to highlight. He's like, did you hear what Gordon did again this weekend? I'm like, it's every weekend, Jeff.
Yeah.
She sets a record every weekend. So I assume next week we'll be in these same 2 chairs, and you'll be saying the same thing again.
Probably. I mean,
make it 3 in a row. Why not?
Like I said, just when the season's over, tell me what the record ends up being.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, it's just a weekly occurrence at this point.
He shouldn't even update the record book.
Yeah, just wait till the end. Yeah, just wait till the end. Just put Emily Gordon and a blank space because you just don't know what it's going to be. Nicole Warren in the triple jump had the 5th best mark at 11.36 meters. So she had a strong showing. The 4x1 relay ran the fastest time by Wayne State in a decade. So not quite a record, but almost a record for them.
Almost the record is pretty good as well. But I say this every week, but I'm just so impressed with the student athletes here at Wayne State across the board. Back to the fall, winter, and spring sports, just continuing to get things done, not just on the court or on the field or in a track meet, but in the classroom as well. Just outstanding student athletes here at Wayne State. But it's great to see and great to hear about all these school records being set.
All right, get a chance to talk about some of those student athletes with men's golf coach Mike Horn. He joins us right here on Warrior Weekly. All right, now we are joined by Wayne State's men's golf coach, Mike Horn. Mike, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. A lot to talk about. A Wayne State pillar. You've been around here a long time. I always joke with Maggie, who produces this, once Wayne State gets their claws in you, they don't let you back. You might leave for a little bit, but they drag you back in. So you started here as a student, didn't you?
Student, 1981. Interesting story is I applied to Ferris State for the PGM program. Mm-hmm. And at that time, there were only 2 PGM programs in the country. PGM is Professional Golf Management. And my grades out of high school, out of Divine Child, weren't stellar. And I didn't get in to Ferris, and I kept that letter. And it's one of the greatest things I've ever been told no to. And it really, my next choice was Wayne State. And boy, I've been a Tartar Warrior ever since. And I can't thank Ferris enough for saying no.
We can't thank them enough either. And you golfed here, correct?
Yep.
You were part of the golf team. What was that experience like in the early to mid 80s golfing here at Wayne State?
Athletics were a hobby. We didn't take it as seriously as we do now. And unfortunately, we weren't very good for the majority of that time. I had some success personally, and my claim to fame is I lost to Lee Jansen in the national championship in 1986. And then you have a pause, and then you say by 72 spots. So Lee Jansen won. I came in 72nd, and out of like 100,
but you were
108 players.
Still on the same course in the same event as him.
Absolutely.
Hey, if you get a chance to play the U.S. Open, you don't care. You say, "Well, I lost to Rory."
Yep.
You were. That means you were playing with them.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Rocco Mediate, David Lingmerth, Lee Jansen, those guys all went to Florida Southern back in the day, and that's kind of where you went back in the day if you were going to play professional golf out of a Division II school. Now it's completely different. We've got guys in the GLIAC that are turning professional and having tons of success. Justin Lauer, who's on the PGA Tour, played at Malone when Malone was in the GLIAC. and he is very successful on the PGA Tour.
So you were telling me, we'll get to you coming back as a coach, but you were telling me you were working at Blockbuster for about a decade. Don't want to spend too much time on it, but what was that experience like? You said it was what, from 87 to 97?
87 to 97, I was working for National Bank of Detroit right out of Wayne State. Didn't care for it. My dad said, don't ever quit a job until you have another.
Yep, best time to look for a job is when you have one.
I quit and then didn't have a job. I got the chicken pox from a wedding up in Sault Ste. Marie.
How old were you when
I
you
was
got
23 when I got the chicken pox.
I just assumed everyone gets them when they're like 2.
Nope. How about 23?
20. What do you do as a 23-year-old with chicken pox?
You scratch a lot, and I've got spots on my body that still are marred from an adult digging away at his chicken pox. But and I got a job at Block. My sister was working at Blockbuster Video, and in their paychecks they were looking for management candidates. I was a management major here at Wayne. Applied, and I got a store within 4 months. Moved up to a regional director. I was in charge of the entire state for 10 years, and what a great experience, and learned a lot from the Blockbuster days.
So what brought you back to Wayne State? So you're working. You got a pretty nice, a safe job at Blockbuster. What brings you back to Wayne State?
So my parents retired, and they moved to Canton because that's the law. You have to move to Canton when you retire in Metro Detroit. And so we were out in Canton at dinner with my parents, and Ron Hammy, who is the old basketball coach, was in the crowd, and he's the one who took me to nationals because my coach was a truancy officer. He never had anybody make it to nationals, and he had a schedule already. So Ron took me, and I saw Ron at this restaurant, and he said, "Hey, did you hear what's going on?" And I said, "No." He said, they're getting rid of golf. Coach Jawar's retiring. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, wow, it's terrible. I'm glad he's retiring. It's terrible they're getting rid of golf.
Right.
Next week, we go to see my parents in their new condo, go to a different restaurant in Canton. Ron Hammy's there again, and he said, "Hey, did I tell you?" And I said, "Yeah, you told me last week." He goes, "No, I'm the interim AD. We're going to keep golf. Do you want the job?" And I'm like, "Okay, what's it pay?" He said, $6,000. I said, "Well, I make a little more than that in my current job."
Right.
And long story short, I talked to my boss at the time, altered my schedule to go from 7 to 3, practice with the guys from 4 till dark, and took vacation days to travel with the team, and the rest is history.
And what year was that you started coaching then?
2001.
2001,
Yep.
Gotcha. So you started taking over in 2001 with maybe the most informal job interview ever. Yeah, I'm hoping he had you in mind and it wasn't just you were the first golf guy he saw and went, "I will ask him."
I don't know. Ron and I have never had that discussion. I know he did some interviews besides myself. And, it was I took the job maybe 4 or 5 days before the season.
Oh.
I said, "Where's my roster?" They said, "Here it is." And I had to try to find these guys. We didn't know where half of them were. And
so you had to go play detective.
I had to go play detective, and we went 6-67 my first year. We beat Hillsdale. Thank God Hillsdale showed up. We beat them 6 times. That's the only team we beat the entire year.
If you're going to beat one team, that's not a bad one. Because I think people of this current generation don't realize kind of the rivalry there used to be
for sure.
between Wayne State and Hillsdale. Like when they were in the GLIAC,
Yeah.
Hillsdale was number 1 rival.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so if you're going to beat one team your first year, Hillsdale's not a bad team to do.
Well, that just tells you how bad we were and how bad they were. We just weren't
But
quite as bad they were.
You were a little better than that.
Yes. Yeah.
You were a little better. So you take over 4 days. Are you thinking short term, like how do I get through the season? Or are you thinking how do I build this program up? What's going through your mind as you take over Wayne State Golf?
The first thing is when I played, I had a little success, and I never felt like it was satisfactory because it wasn't team success. And so I wanted to build a team, and there's a million stories that go into the first couple of years, but I had to bribe a few kids to get them to come that were pretty good golfers. We got a number of good players to start. Ryan Johnson, Blake Johnson, Chris Hill, Jake Abramson. Those are all some of our first recruits, and they turned out to be great young men, and they wanted to make this a special place to play golf. And It was a lot of work. To answer your one question there about the first semester, it was just get through the first semester. Do we have a home course? Can we
Did
play
you have
here?
a home course?
We did not really.
Oh, okay.
We played at Tanglewood, but Tanglewood's 45 minutes away.
Right.
And it wasn't convenient. It wasn't where we were going to host tournaments and so forth. My old coach, Dave Toth, got involved the first year, helped us land Gateway as our home course in Romulus. Gateway had just opened. He was very instrumental in helping out with that. And we've had a lot of home courses over the course of time. That's one of the biggest challenges for a college golf coach.
Right.
And
especially one in the middle of a major city, that's one spot where if you're more rural, that you have the local golf course right there. There's not a midtown golf course just sitting off of Woodward.
If I ever win the lottery, we are going to fill in the lodge with dirt and make a golf course all the way down the lodge and back. But I don't think that's happening. But it's a hard gig to find a place. We've been at TPC the last 15 years. They told us this spring that we were not invited back. And the good news is one of our alums, Joe Wilson at West Shore on Grosse Ile, has really pushed for us, and we're hoping to have final approval as late as today to be our home course going forward, and hosting tournaments there and hosting outings and so forth. So if you're in a rural setting and there's the local golf course, usually you're the only game in town, and they want to support you and everybody with the university. Here in Metro Detroit, they're not really worried about supporting a local golf team. UD, Wayne State, we have a tough time finding a place to play.
So I'm always curious about this. You take over, and you're taking over a program that was on life support. The week before you got offered the job, they thought it was dead. Yeah. What point did you sit back and go, okay, I'm doing this well, and this team and this program is healthy and thriving?
We won the GLIAC in 2003.
So that's a pretty quick turnaround.
That was a really quick turnaround. Those guys overachieved. And that's kind of when I knew that, okay, we're going in the right direction. I had coached Little League baseball and basketball and those kind of things. I didn't know how to recruit. I had to ask my colleagues and guys that when I played, were coaches, and leaned on them. And was really fortunate to have those kind of guys to help out. And I just picked the brain of every coach that there was. And I remember distinctly having an in with a couple of coaches who weren't respecting Wayne State in my first year. Too long a story to go into here. But I basically, I'm an easygoing guy. I don't get too riled up. And I was riled up. And I was pointing my finger and was using words that started with F that weren't nice, and said, you are going to respect Wayne State, and it's going to be very soon that we're going to be somebody that you're not going to be able to push around anymore. And it's been nice to get that revenge a little bit.
Right.
That, we're a good team, and you got to watch out for us.
When do you think other people started to take notice? Was it the GLIAC championship in 2003 when, whether it's other college programs or even high school programs saying go to Wayne, that's a good spot for you to go and play college golf?
Yeah, I think 2003 with the GLIAC championship helped. But after you make the tournament a couple years in a row, then you kind of get a little bit of a backing that people are like, okay, you guys are doing something here that's pretty good. Having been a avid amateur golfer my whole life, playing in the public links and playing in the Michigan GAM events and so forth, I knew quite a few people in the golf world. So some of them, I knew their children were becoming 17, 18 years old, and started recruiting some of them. The Matrokas out of Riverview, got both those brothers, got the Johnson brothers out of New Boston, ended up years later getting the Lazera brothers out of Jackson. So the Pelocks out of Matawan. So we've had a lot of brother combinations. We currently have two Chapmans on the team from Marshall. So a lot of brothers over the course of time. And I guess I'm proud that the parents would entrust in us that once the first kid comes through, hey, that was a pretty good experience.
Right.
And the team and the coach and everything else were people we trust our kid with. So it's been nice to have that channel of kids coming in.
So when you're recruiting, in some sports, like, all right, I'll use baseball as an example. You can get a guy that has a lot of, has the stats, is there, but you don't see a lot of potential. Or you get a guy that maybe has the size, he's 6'5", but walks like a baby giraffe, and you're like, in 2 or 3 years, I can turn this into an absolute stud, but it's a project. When you're recruiting golf, are there guys that you go, his scores aren't there right now, but I can get this guy to drive at 350. I can teach this kid to be a good golfer. Or is it just, hey, here are the scores, I'm going to get the guys that have the lowest scores right now?
Little of both, but boy, the multi-sport athlete, the kid that played tennis, basketball, whatever. It doesn't matter what sport it is. If they've been a team sport guy and they also play golf, boy, if I can get them just to play golf, that kid is tougher than the typical golfer.
And you're not saying to stop playing all the sports right now and play golf.
No.
Play those throughout, and then once you get your hands on them, then it's all golf.
We've had a lot of hockey players. The hockey playing and the golf playing are very, very similar. And those kids, there's been some Canadians. We've had a number of Ontario kids, but some Michigan kids as well. We could have fielded a damn good hockey team over the last 10 years. Ian Smith, who played for us, graduated last year. He was runner-up for Mr. Hockey 4 or 5 years ago.
That's pretty good.
Out of Canton. So, and then they still play pickup games and beer league and whatever. So I've gone to Canada to watch a number of games, and I'm like, okay, they got some hands. All right.
Do you get to claim their men's league trophies too? Like, do you get to say you're a part of that?
I feel like I can't skate.
But you brought them together. Like, if it's 5 or 6 Wayne State golfers that play, I feel like you should have, maybe not in the same font, but maybe a little smaller.
Okay.
You brought them together.
Maybe
a finder's fee of sorts.
I probably should get a beer out of it.
Yeah, that exactly. You get to be invited to the celebration.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. There's some. We've had some really good athletes. If you go back to when I played, we weren't athletes. I wish we were athletes back then. I would have been a better golfer. But they're athletes now. I mean, Tiger brought that on 30 years ago, and these guys are athletes. So whether they're basketball or tennis or baseball or hockey, we could field a pretty darn good team in a lot of sports and hold our own, I think, with a beer league.
So you've been here obviously a long time, a lot of changes at Wayne State in that time. What were some of those that had the biggest impact for you as the golf coach, whether it was recruiting wise, whether it was training wise? What are some of the advancements Wayne State's had that has really helped you take the golf team to the next level?
Well, I think the new workout area. If you again go back 40 years ago, we didn't work out. I was told to run by my coach back in the 80s, and I'm like, okay, how far? And he said 5 miles a day. All right, so I started running. But that's all we did, just to get our legs underneath us, because we play 36 holes. So this past Saturday, we played 36 holes. We got there at 7:15 in the morning, and we left at 8:15 at night.
Yeah,
we're there for 13 hours. Walking up and down hills, it's a taxing event. So our workout facilities here, we're ahead of the curve for most places, and then having a golf room now where we can hit indoors at the November-December timeframe when it's awful outside. That's huge. And then the biggest thing from a recruiting standpoint has been Detroit. I used to have to bribe kids to come.
Oh yeah.
To get down here, and now one of my recruits, and I can't pin it on anybody. I thought it was Max O'Rourke, but he says it wasn't him. They called the Midtown Wayne State area the Wrigleyville without the traffic.
I'll take that.
And I'm like, yeah, you know what? It is Wrigleyville without the traffic. And boy, when you bring a recruit, and certainly a Sunday day helps, but if you take a recruit on a golf cart trip around Midtown, they walk away going, okay, this is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I had the same experience. It was kind of, back in, 2014, 2015 is when I was being recruited here. And originally I'm like, I don't want to go I don't want to go to college in Detroit.
Yeah.
And then I came down here and I left and I'm like, I think I'm going to go to college in Detroit now. I'm sure you've seen the same thing. Once you get them on campus, it's, this is actually pretty darn cool.
Yeah. And I'm good with the parents too. So I'm good with mom and dad and making sure they understand that between my wife and the rest of the coaching staff, we're going to help them navigate their 4 or 5 years. And my wife doesn't travel with the team, but she makes cookies and signs, puts them on their car when they win, when we come back from, a trip and all that kind of stuff. And then we're lucky enough to have 4 volunteer coaches that all either played here or went to school here. So pretty cool to have them help too.
Pretty ingrained in the culture then. Yep. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about this year's team. You guys have been playing pretty well. You won a tournament. It feels like every time I talk about you, you're either 1, 2, or 3 in a tournament of usually a pretty large field. Tell me a little bit about this year's team.
We graduated 15 guys the last 2 years.
That's a lot.
And we graduated every starter the last 2 years.
Also a lot.
And so this year, everybody that's starting is either brand new to the roster or brand new to starting. And at the start of the year, I thought, okay, top 10 teams in our region. There's about 38 teams in the region. Top 10 advance to the NCAA tournament. And I said in my head, okay, 7th, 8th, 9th, we'd be doing pretty well for all brand new. And it turns out we got 3 freshmen that are playing. And we've been bouncing between 2nd and 6th in the region all year. We haven't beaten the best teams in the region, but we've hung in with every single one of them every single time we played. So, for example, Tiffin, we're 0-2, but we lost by 3 shots, twice.
Yeah.
And so we're right there. Grand Valley, we've only played once this year. We had the lead on them going into the final round, and we let it slip. Finley, we're 1-2 against. We drummed them the one time early in the year, and since then they've nipped us twice. So we've been right there. And so last night in the parking lot here at Mathi, when we got home, we had a little meeting, and I said, we're the same team. This team is the same team from 2021. The same exact makeup. And you're advanced past where they're at. You're playing better than they did, and they turned out to be one of our best cycles of teams that we've ever had. So I'm hoping they're listening. I'm hoping they're understanding that those concepts and those points to work hard. Because if these guys put in the work, this could be a special team in the next 3 years.
So for those that want to follow, you have the GLIACs this week, correct?
Yep.
That's Thursday, Friday.
Yep.
And the format's a little funky, right? So you start with stroke play and then go to match play. Explain that real quick for everyone.
So we play 36 holes of stroke play on Thursday, 18 holes of stroke play on Friday. And then when we get to Friday afternoon, the top 2 finishing teams go to play medal match. So when you talk to a golfer who's a little bit of a golfer and you say match play and they hear medal match, they think it's match play like the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
We play medal match, which means you and I play each other and I shoot 71 and you shoot 70, you win a point.
Yep.
Doesn't matter by how many strokes you beat me, but you beat me, so you get a point. So you've got 5 points in that medal match event, and you got to win 3.
Gotcha.
And you can tie. So if we would get to the point of a tie, then you go to a sudden death playoff, and all 5 guys play 1 hole, and it's
until the tie's broken.
Until the tie's broken. So 54 holes should get to the point of getting the best teams near the top, and if we do what we should do, we should be in those top 2 to play for the championship. There's nothing guaranteed.
Right.
And I think Davenport, and I think Saginaw Valley, and I think Parkside and everybody else is going to be trying their darndest to try to make it. And, Grand Valley is certainly the favorite throughout the season. The good news, though, because we're all first-time starters, Grand Valley's graduating almost all their guys this year. So
you guys
keep
don't know any
improving.
different, right?
We keep improving. We're gonna take care of them the next couple of years. And we took care of them last year, the same group.
It's always fun to do that, right?
Yep. And we're going to try our darndest to take care of them this Friday.
And then you mentioned, all right, so GLIACs go how you hope it does, regional play. When is that, and what's the format for that?
That's the first week of May. That's at CAFKE at Big Rapids. They're hosting this year. And that's 54 holes, stroke play, and the top 4 teams advance out of those 20 to the national final.
All right. Yep. Well, hopefully you have a lot more spring season left to go.
I hope so.
We all do. So, Coach, I really appreciate you coming and talking. I know you just got back yesterday, so quick turnaround, but we really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else listening did too.
Go Warriors.
Absolutely. Go Warriors. All right, thanks to Coach Horn for joining us as we turn our attention to what's coming up this week. I do want to start with the football spring showcase, whatever you want. Not quite a spring game. You don't have those as much anymore. But what this means for the football program. First of all, don't take hardly anything out of who plays well, how this player looks. It's a scrimmage. You are not going to remember who did well by the time fall camp starts. It's one day of basically live practice. That part I take 0 out of. Whether it's, Coach Isaac or any other coach that's been here, nothing out of who plays well in that. It's just fun to do it in front of your family if you do. What I am going to look for is, just the overall presentation. Coach Isaac is open arms with the alumni, inviting them back out. He wants as many people there. How it's run, how he engages with everyone. How is the practice run? How are the players organized? Like, are they, moving around how they should? And it's kind of the first little glimpse of what a Coach Isaac program is going to look like. And that's what I think it can be, is a very positive step forward in saying, hey, no, we're not going to win or lose any games here, but we can show our alumni, we can show our fans, we can show our families and our boosters and our supporters that this is how it's going to be run. Here is a look at what we're going to do this year and how we're going to do it.
I don't. You couldn't have said that any better, Brady. It's going to be. I unfortunately will be out of town, so I won't be able to watch it on Saturday. But it's going to be interesting to see the football team back out there with new leadership and a new head coach. And I don't know what you think about this, Brady. You're definitely more ingrained with the football program than me, being a former standout player like yourself and being the full-time broadcaster with the football team. But I've been impressed with Coach Isaac ever since he was announced as head coach, and his ability with his outreach to the university, to the alumni, to us as broadcasters, just being very hospitable and trying to make it seem like you're going to be proud to be a Warrior again, right? And coming off an 0-11 season, and the program, let's just be honest, not in very good shape.
No, he's in a tough spot.
When Coach Isaac was hired, nowhere to go but up. But I just love his outreach to the entire Wayne State community, past and present. And even the future community as well, with recruiting that he says he wants to do in the Detroit area. And I've been impressed with him so far. And again, we'll see what happens on the field. It's funny, we're less than 5 months away from the first game. I mean, we're sitting here in short sleeves and shorts like we talked about in the last segment. Anytime you break those out in the spring, football it's right around the corner. I mean, it's coming up before we know it. But it'll be interesting to see. They are going to play offense versus defense. Jeff Weiss is very excited about the scoring system he came up with for that. And so that'll be good to see some competition there. But like I said, I just think it's a chance to come out and see what the new Wayne State program might have a chance of looking like. Again, not taking anything seriously from what you see on the field with who plays well, who doesn't, and making judgments about that.
But just the
presentation of, proud to be a Warrior again. Proud of this football team that has a great tradition here at Wayne State. It hasn't the last couple of years, but hey, let's move on from that. Let's move forward and let's get back to being proud to be Warriors on the football field.
And I think you're right. Coach Isaac has done all the right things and said all the right things to this point. Now, all that said, a lot of coaches say and do the right things. You're ultimately judged on what happens when the game starts. Again, I guess the one thing you can take away, what is the offense going to look like, the basic schemes? What are the defense going to look like, the basic principles? You can take that away, but he has done and said the right things to this point. And now I think this is a chance more than anything for him to say, hey, you can trust me with your football program, because that's one thing I think he does understand, that this program does have a history, that this program has played at the highest level, has had Harlan Hill winners, has had, Gene Upshaw winners, has had NFL players here, has played for a national title in recent history, and understands that there's an alumni base that is eager, was maybe a little discouraged over this last year, that is ready, that wants to fall back in love and wants to give everything they have. And I think this is the first step to doing this. And if it goes well, and again, going well is running a crisp scrimmage, doing everything right and shaking hands and meeting everyone at this. I think this is a big first step for the football program.
I don't know what else to say. Brady said it well. I couldn't agree more. I'm looking forward to hearing what happened on Saturday. And again, I'm looking forward. And again, I'm being very positive. Again, coming off a couple rough years in a row, especially last season. But I'm looking forward to the fall. I really am, to see how this team plays under Coach Isaac. I really am.
All right. Other sports going on in games that do count. Baseball goes to Hillsdale on Tuesday for a midweek. It's actually a home and home they'll play a week from Tuesday back at Harwell Field. And then a 4-game series at Roosevelt. I don't like doing this in baseball a lot, but if you want to be a GLIAC champion, if you want to host a regional, they say pressure is a privilege. You have the pressure to sweep this team.
You got to win all four.
They're 0-12 in GLIAC.
I'm going to say the exact same thing, Brady.
You got to win all four.
Anything less than a sweep, I think, would be disappointing. We'll see what happens with that Hillsdale game. Obviously, it will have been played. If it is played tomorrow, by the time we tape, it's supposed to thunderstorm all day on Tuesday, so we'll see what happens.
Is it nice if you win the 2 Hillsdale games this week and next for regional
purposes? Yes.
Yes. I don't think that's going to be the shift where they're going to be looking and go, Wayne State you would have hosted, but you lost a 3-2 game to Hillsdale on April 14th. Sorry, you're going down to Illinois. I just
or to Rolla, maybe.
Yeah, I just don't think. Maybe if you lose both, but the big one for me is position yourself in the GLIAC as good as possible, and everyone has held serve against Roosevelt. You've got to go down and do it. Because remember last year, they almost blew a game against them. They were down I think 6 runs going into the 9th and rattled off 7 to steal a game they had no business winning. And I think they ended up sweeping that series.
If you get the starting pitching that Wayne State's been getting all year, it shouldn't be an issue to go there and take care of business. If you have some shaky starting pitching, get into some higher scoring games, that's when things can maybe, if you make an error or two here or there, or you hit a batter maybe, you get a wacky play, the ball bounces the wrong way, you could lose. But if you get the solid starting pitching, I just think these should be.
I don't think the gap's that close. I think you need 4 or 5 of those.
I mean, at this point, I'm not trying to. We're not trying to turn this into a trash Roosevelt podcast, but you're 0-12 in league play in baseball at this point. That's just not good. I mean, at some point, you should have won a game by now. They haven't. They're struggling. They're
Grand Valley put up 22 on them.
They put up 22 on them. I saw some of those scores. Man, but it's the second year in the league. They're still adjusting the league play. I mean, they're going to get better as the years go on. You would think.
But that's not Wayne State's problem.
But that's not Wayne State's
problem. That's not Ryan Kelly's problem.
That's not their problem this year, and maybe one of the best years that Wayne State's ever had in the baseball diamond. So let's go take care of business. All four. I agree. The midweek games are definitely less important, but if you lose them both, then you can maybe, because they are in-region games, you can be like, well, if there's an excuse, if there's an excuse to drop Wayne State in the regional rankings in any sport, they always seem to take that opportunity. So don't give the committee an opportunity to drop you in the rankings. So win the game against Hillsdale if it's played on Tuesday with the storms forecasted. And then obviously Brady, you got to take care of business. Yeah. And again, the last 8 GLIAC games, and we'll talk about Pure Northwest next week on the podcast, but they're against 2 of the bottom teams in the league. You should win all 8.
Here's the thing. Let me put it this way. When Wayne State was sitting and go, all right, Grand Valley's playing Roosevelt, do you think Wayne State would have signed up for Grand Valley only winning 3 of 4? Absolutely. So you can't. They swept. Yeah. You have to sweep. That's part of being a top-tier team.
You're 4 games back in the loss column to Grand Valley. You're tied with Davenport for second place with 6 losses. Grand Valley still has to play Davenport for 4 and Saginaw Valley for 4. So you just have to basically, if you're Wayne State, you got to win all 8, and then you just got to hope that Davenport and Saginaw Valley can split with Grand Valley, or maybe one of them wins 3 or 4. that's going to be tough with the pitching Grand Valley has. So you're in a tough spot already, but you got to win these last 8 games if you want to be maybe get a share of that league title.
Softball, they host Ferris, they host Davenport. You probably need to win at least 2. You really need to win 3. 2 at least keeps you in the conversation. 3 puts you, because again, 4 against Saginaw Valley at the end of the year is like the boogeyman looming. You've got to make up some ground before that.
Yeah, if you weren't playing Saginaw Valley 4 more times this year, I would say, yeah, split them. 2 of 4, whether you sweep Davenport and lose both to Ferris or split both of those 2-game series, great. But I think with those 4 games looming, I think you have to win 3 or 4. I think you have to win 3 or 4. That probably means a sweep over Davenport and then splitting with Ferris State. The Bulldogs are first on Saturday. Davenport will be on Sunday. You'll call the game Saturday. I'll call the game Sunday. So we'll both be out there to have a full report next week on the podcast about how it went. But, yeah, I think you need 3 or 4. You need to try to find a way to get the offense going. Hopefully the pitching staff can throw some good starts out there at home. And, just start chipping away at that deficit. Yeah, you've kind of buried yourself in the standings from your own doing. All right, well, here's a chance to get out of the bottom of the standings from your own doing as well. Let's start chipping away and get back up there and win some games and see what happens. That last week, because again, as a competitor, you have to love. Hey, we got the best team maybe in the league coming in to play the last 4 games of the season, and we have to win some games. Let's go do it.
All right, men's and women's golf. The men are Thursday, Friday. The women are Saturday, Sunday. So the men play 36 on Thursday, 18 on Friday. Top 2 go to match play. Same thing for the women, except 36 on Saturday with 18 on Sunday, and then the top 2 go to match play. Tennis goes to Grand Valley and Ferris State. Those are the big showdowns. Yep. Those are going to determine whether you're a GLIAC champion or just a nice season.
I think this is the week of league play that Coach Morrow's been looking for ever since last.
That's why they've gone down. That's why they played some of those teams.
That's why they've gone down to Florida and played some tough teams. That's why they play some tough teams in the Midwest as well. It's for this week, and it's a huge week. We don't like Grand Valley and Ferris State very much here at Wayne State, so let's get them both and let's win that league title and look forward to the GLIAC tournament. But, yeah, this is the week they've been waiting for.
All right, and instead of listing off the 4 different places women's track and field are, a lot of them are going to California, in Los Angeles-ish area, and some people are just going up the road to Oakland to Rochester to compete in that. We'll just let you know how everyone does next week.
Yeah, we will. It's a lot of different meets and a lot of different spots, but yeah, some of the team is going out there to California, to SoCal, to Los Angeles area, San Diego area to compete. It should be some great weather out there and a great experience for those student athletes. And yeah, when you say going to Oakland, no, it's not Oakland, California. It's not in the Bay Area out there. It's OU up the road in Rochester. So good luck to the track and field team this week as well.
All right, that'll do it for this week's episode of Warrior Weekly. Thank you so much for joining. Next week, digest all of this, see what's coming up. Hopefully, a couple GLIAC championships to talk about when we talk next week right here on Warrior Weekly.